Welcome to MMA Dawgs. My name is Hector, and as always, I want to thank you for tuning in, especially our MMA Dawg family. If you're a new customer, new client, thank you and welcome to the family. If you're an existing, good to see you, old friend. And let's go straight to it. Let's just keep this video nice and short. All the homework is done, all the footage has been watched, everything, all the research, homework, and all that. So let's just get straight to it. So this card is really interesting. There's a lot of odds, a lot of fights that are very close. So slight dogs, slight favorites, and it'll be real interesting to see how the night plays out. So when a situation like that arises, we have to really sift through it and see what there is and see what fighters actually have an edge and actually have the tools and what it's going to take to actually win their fights. And what it comes down to, finding exactly what it is it's going to come down to with these particular guys. So let's go straight into the betting picks. So we'll go straight into, so we got three tonight, three on the card. And number three is a three-star pick, and he is the current heavyweight champ, and that is Cain Velasquez. You can find him at around -180. And with Cain, you know, the bottom line with this particular fight is that if you watch the second fight and you see how Cain was able to adjust from the first fight, for example, his head movement, Cain Velasquez's head movement, if you go back and watch his old fights, like this fight against Congo and some of his early fights, you'll see that his head movement just isn't there. And if you take a look at his last fight with Dos Santos, his movement, he just moves his head, constantly moves his head, pressures, applies the pressure, keeps a high pace, has good cardio. And with Dos Santos, you know, after taking that beating and just, you know, as talented as he is, there is an edge there for Cain Velasquez and the ability for him to use his wrestling. And can't forget that Cain trains with AKA, of course, and Daniel Cormier. So he's always training with Daniel Cormier. And it's just that's a great tool. That's a great ally to have. With Junior Dos Santos, he had stitches on his face 3 weeks ago, and you know the Texas Committee Houston cleared him. But you know what? That cut can easily open, and there's just a big liability. Really, I mean, do you really want to trust Junior with your money? A guy who's got you know, who's got this cut on his head. As soon as Cain takes him down, Cain will take him down, whether he holds him down there or not. That's debatable. But you know, that cut could open up, and you know, blood in his eyes, and that's it. You know, we'll be sitting here thinking, oh man, of course, you know, we got the better wrestler, we got the guy with the cardio, and got to go with Cain there. And then for the second one, we have a guy coming. This guy, he's very talented, and he's the number 2 pick, and that's Tony Ferguson, another 3-star pick. And he, you know, coming into the Michael Johnson fight, I believe he had an injury. Something was going on with him, and of course Michael Johnson showed up to fight that night, you know, and this is a guy who shows up sometimes, doesn't show up other times. But Tony Ferguson's a very talented fighter, and he had a really good camp. He's training now at Rain. And he got a purple belt from Eddie Bravo at 10th Planet. Awesome jiu-jitsu guy. So I really like him in this fight, especially since he's got the better. Mike Rio's way to win would be wrestle him, right? And Tony Ferguson has better wrestling, definitely better striking. So I see Tony getting the knockout in the second round, maybe the third round. And then moving on to our 4-star pick of the night. Thankfully, he dropped. He's around -450 now. So now he definitely is worth betting on, and that's Daniel Cormier. I mean, this guy is just a real deal. He trains with Cain Velasquez. He's just an awesome wrestler. Go back and watch some of his fights, especially the Josh Barnett fight. That's the one that really, to me, just solidified the deal. I mean, if you take a look at him there, he's down to 224, 225, in great shape, following a good diet. And then with Roy Nelson, you know, he's got had some issues with his camp, has lost training partners, just all kinds of problems. And so that's why Daniel Cormier will win. Like I said, he trains with Cain. He's got the right mindset. Yeah, you know, he's got the mental capacity. He's smart, game planner. Just a great pick overall. So those are the 3 picks. And then we'll go straight into, I'll break down the rest of the fights and basically tell you guys the bottom line and what it boils down to on some of these. So let's take a look at the Gilbert Melendez, Diego Sanchez fight. Wow, that fight is just going to be, oh man, I can't believe this one. This one is really, really interesting. I'll tell you guys why. Diego Sanchez is really motivated, really focused for this particular fight. And if you take a look at his previous fight with Gomi, just look at him on the scale. You know, he's just a completely different guy than what he was when he fought Gomi. And I really believe that Diego Sanchez is going to go out there. We're going to see the best Diego Sanchez that we've seen. And with Gil, you know, he's coming off that loss, controversial loss to the champ. And a lot of people think that that Melendez won that fight. So psychologically, that's going to be playing in his head. You know, it's just going to be one of those things where it's like, oh man, I shouldn't even be fighting this guy. You know, I should be with a belt. I should be fighting, you know, someone else, Thompson for the 4th time. And the other thing we can't forget is Diego Sanchez. The judges love Diego Sanchez, and at plus 450, plus 400, I already thought to myself, man, I want to possibly make this a betting pick. 3 stars, of course, but I have confidence that Diego Sanchez will definitely make this a competitive fight. And if you understand the way judges work and you know all that, I would say that's. I mean, how can you not love Diego Sanchez at plus 400, plus 450? So I'm going with Diego Sanchez on that one. And not just because of the odds, but because I think he can make this make it a dog fight. And these two guys have trained together. You know, sometimes Diego got the better of him, sometimes Gil got the best of him. So this will be a really interesting fight. I'm going with Diego Sanchez. And we got a heavyweight matchup on the pay-per-view: Gabe Gonzaga versus Shawn Jordan. With this one, you know, we know what we're getting with Gonzaga. We know we're getting a guy who's got excellent jiu-jitsu. In his last fight, he made a vow to go back to that jiu-jitsu and utilize it. He didn't have to against the drunk Herman, Pee Wee Herman. And with Shawn Jordan, you know, he's up and coming, yes, but he doesn't really have one area that really stands out. Some of the guys he's faced and beat don't really impress me one bit. All Gonzaga has to do is get the takedown and submit him. Of course, it's easier said than done, but I'm leaning towards Gonzaga at plus 160. That's another one that's very tempting. You can put him in a round-robin parlay with Diego Sanchez and a couple other guys coming up that I'm going to go over. So I'm going with Gonzaga on that one. John Dodson versus Darrell Montague. John Dodson's very talented, Greg Jackson fighter, but I can't trust that guy with my money, especially at those odds. You know, nearly a 4-to-1 favorite, 3.5-to-1 favorite. You know, he's just unpredictable. I feel he's a bit unpredictable. He looked good against Demetrius Johnson, but still, it wasn't enough. And I believe he's underestimating Darrell Montague. And he says he's not. He says he's this and that. But once he gets in the octagon, this guy is just. I don't want to trust 3.5, 3.5-to-1, 4-to-1 of my hard-earned dollar on a guy like this. The pick will be Dodson. I think he ought to get the knockout for what we're seeing here, but he'll probably get a decision. And let's move on to the prelims. We got Tim Boetsch versus CB Dollaway. With this one, it's interesting because Tim Boetsch, 2-fight losing streak, and you think his back is against the wall. And I remember he's had some public money problems in the past where he's taken fights. And at the weigh-ins, if you look at the whole left side of his body, it looks like he either has something wrong or something's going on with it. And that's just what it appears to look like on the outside. And, it's one of those interesting situations where, he's got a family and, of course, a fighter, that's what you do for your job. You're not going to call in sick for work if you have a family to pay and bills to pay and family to support that you love. And so I don't blame him for taking the fight. And he may be 100%, but that's what it appears like on the scales. And so I got to go with CB on this one, especially what he showed us in Brazil against Sarafi, and a guy who, this guy looks not only jacked up, but just rapidly improving. So I'm going to go with CB on that one by decision. Hopefully he can avoid the knockout. But if you're on Tim Boetsch, I don't blame you. We got another one. It's very interesting. Hector Lombard, Nate Marquardt. Lombard making the drop to 170. He says the UFC, that's what the UFC wanted. I think the UFC said either you drop to 170 or we're going to cut you. So, At 170, he's fighting guys that are more his size, and he just looked huge on the scale. I mean, gigantic, just no body fat, probably like 3 or 4% body fat, as low as you can possibly be. And against Nate Marquardt, make Marquardt, sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't. That's why I can't put my money on neither one of these guys. With Lombard dropping down to 170 for the first time, it's just a do not bet. I'm gonna go with Lombard here. And we got Jessica Eye versus Sarah Kaufman. Jessica Eye is really a 125er going up against Sarah Kaufman, a 135er, a gamer, another one who judges like, another fighter who judges like. So I'm gonna go with Kaufman on that one. KJ Noons and Sotiropoulos. Sotiropoulos is a huge layoff. And KJ Noons does have good takedown defense. Boils down to, can Sotiropoulos get it to the ground, or will KJ keep it on the feet? Sotiropoulos is like 36, 37 years old. I really can't trust a guy like that, so I'm going to go with KJ Noons by decision. But KJ, once again, he's a bit of a flake himself. Unpredictable. So we'll just move along here. This is a Facebook prelims. We got 4 of them here. Adlan Amagov versus TJ Waldburger. That's a really interesting fight. I really like this one. Another one where it's the grappler against the striker, but the striker in this particular situation does have takedown defense. So I'm going to go with Amagov on this one. I really enjoy watching TJ fight. I think his jiu-jitsu is incredible, but in 10 months, lost his grandpa, had a kid, lost motivation for fighting. In 10 months, I don't believe he could turn that around so quickly. So I'm going to go with Amagov, Greg Jackson fighter. We already went over Ferguson, Rio. And then we got Andre Fili versus Jeremy Larsen. Fili, a alpha male team member, coming off an injury. Or not coming off injury, coming in on short notice, coming on 12 days notice. And I watched the footage on this guy, and nothing, you can't find footage of him in the UFC, obviously it's debut, but nothing stands out. Nothing that I'm thinking to myself, oh, wow, he's got this or that. I don't see what the hype or hoopla is at all. And Jeremy Larsen at plus 180, probably hit plus 200. I really like that one for a small, that round robin I was talking about. And Jeremy Larsen, what he's shown us is he has the ability to dominate a controlled fight, and then he starts mentally foobarring, and he's got a good Arizona Combat Sports. He's got a good coach there, so I can back him. I like Larsen there. And then with Horiguchi, he's a 125er. Oh yeah, Fili didn't make weight because, like I said, he's taking the fight on such short notice. He tried, and you can tell Dana White tell him something during the weigh-ins. I think he's telling him, we know you probably couldn't make this fight, but Sean Shelby likes you, so we'll bring you back regardless. Thank you for taking the fight on short notice. But I think that's gonna backfire for him, and Larsen will get it. And then Horiguchi, a 125-pound fighter, but making his debut at 135 against Dustin Pague, a guy who just gets no love. Losing split decisions, losing getting robbed or controversial, and he's just. He can't fight off of his back. He really should not do that. Yes, he's active, but really should keep it on the feet. And I'm going to go with, he's actually the underdog. I'm going to go with Dustin Pague on this one. I know a lot of guys are on Horiguchi, and he's only like 22, 23 years old. And he may be the real deal, but you know what? Going up against a guy who has proven that he can be competitive in the UFC, I'm going to go with the 2 dogs there, Pague and Larsen. And that sums it up. So, I'm really looking forward to tonight's fights. Really looking forward to making you guys some money. Making some money here, and yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Check out the website for more information, and we will talk to you guys real soon. Good luck.